Hi guys, welcome back to Ampersand Unique Gifts, and if this is your first time here, then welcome. I am so glad that you're here. So this is another episode in the Reclaiming My Space or Reclaiming My Basement, aka Cleaning My Basement, and what I have today are going to be some Christmas flips. This little guy I got for $1.49. He was at the Goodwill. And we're going to do a little upcycle. It's a paper mache deer, and we're just going to do a little upcycle to him. The next item is this big picnic basket. And it's got some places, it's got water damage. So we're going to actually do a kind of a dry brush paint job on it and then add some transfers. And the next thing, got a project with some spindles. We're going to make a Christmas tree on a board. So stay tuned. We're going to get everything set up for beginning on project number 1, and I'll see you on the flip side.
So I've been holding this video hoping that I would get over the flu, and finally you get to a point when you just have to say, let's go for it. So I do apologize for my voice. I started this project with an old piece of plywood. I don't know what this was. It's just a piece of repurposed wood. And then these spindles are from an old child's Jenny Lynn chair. And it was broken, and I felt that we could save these spindles and give it some new life. Again, this was in my stash. It has this really sharp point. I don't know what these are for, but it was the perfect embellishment for a tree topper. And I am going to glue in a button that has rhinestones just to give it that perfect bling and top out our Christmas tree. So I didn't want to just have the plain wood plywood. I wanted to give it a little bit of dimension. So using water and the Waverly antique wax, I'm just kind of giving it almost a dry brush and just filling it in so that the wood has some texture behind those spindles. Sticking with Waverly, I'm using, this is the Waverly in Celery, and I'm mixing it with the Waverly in Moss to get this nice sage green. That is kind of the theme of my projects today. I wanted to add in some different colors for Christmas that stayed in the theme but were very muted and weren't our typical bright or dark greens. So I gave everything 2 coats of this color, and I didn't sand anything. All I did was wipe it off, and it had the perfect crackle. I'm sorry, this was blurry and I didn't realize it, but that crackle is going to hold in that white wax that we do at the end, and it's absolutely beautiful. So this, because it had that sharp like nail, I just pushed it into that plywood with my hand, and it was very sturdy and stayed in there. So again, that's where I started, in the center of my board. And then using some Titebond glue, I started attaching these, and then using a brad nailer from the back just to kind of hold them in there. So they're just evenly spaced as they go up. I didn't want them all touching. I wanted to have that space because I am going to use that white wax down in there. We'll begin with a clear wax to give a little bit of extra movability if you need to. I don't always do that with a white wax, but I do tend to always use a clear wax underneath a dark wax, because you can then use that clear wax again almost as an eraser. But again, we're going to clear wax the whole board, and then I'm going to follow up with a white wax, and I do a little bit at a time with the white wax and then wipe it back, and you can add as many layers as you need. But I made sure to get down in the cracks, and then I made sure to get in that crackle really well. And so you'll see at the end what it looks like, but it turned out exactly the way I envisioned it. And I added a ribbon all the way around the edge just to kind of cover up that raw plywood look that it had around the edge. So I used just a little green gingham. It's a real muted green gingham that matches the color of the spindles. So I hope that you like it. It was exactly what I was looking for. I added a hanger on the back. You can prop it up, or you can hang it on the wall, whichever you would prefer. All right, so our next project is this really cool picnic basket. I actually have the one that we used when I was little, but this is not it. I'm keeping that one. Like I said, it had water damage, so I knew I was going to paint it, but I didn't want to have to worry about getting a full coverage down in that basket weave, so I decided I would go with a dry brush, and you can actually still see some of that red coming through, so it made the perfect colors for Christmas. Just continuing to use that same Waverly moss and celery mixed together. I gave 2 coats to the top, and then I did that dry brush here. You can see my close-up just everywhere else, and then I made sure that it was solid on all the bands that went around there, and then the handle as well. Covered the hinges and everything on the top. So then I'm really excited. I'm going to be using the Christmas Valley transfer. I'm using this one large one, the whole page, and it was the perfect size for this. I was really excited when I realized that that would work on the top here. So I think about it and realize that whichever direction I put that transfer is going to set which is the front. So I look at the 2 sides and decide which one I want to be the front of my basket. So if somebody has it sitting on their fireplace hearth, or sitting somewhere where you can see it, what is the front side sticking out? So I'm going to take this, and I don't tape it down. I know, you would think if you've been following me for a while, you've seen some little goofs where I should have taped it down. But what I do is just get it centered where I need it, and then I take the plastic stick that comes with IOD transfers, and I go ahead and just kind of rub it over everywhere to kind of act as glue, kind of measured to make sure it was centered. One of the things you did not see, I didn't have it on the video, and that is that I clear coated the top. And it's very important, especially with chalk paint, that you get a clear coat before you try to apply a transfer, and you make sure that that clear coat is very dry. So because of those hinges, it makes that little hump. So I wanted to cut it and make sure that my Christmas Valley and then my words down on the bottom were able to go smooth and be attached without any curvature or off center, because of where that little hinge is. There's 2 hinges that'll be through there. So again, using the stick, completely attach the transfer, and then I'm just going to use this sheet, and the underside of the sheet that was actually attached to the transfer is the perfect material to burnish this down. And what that is anywhere where maybe it came off of the transfer sheet, but it did not fully attach to your surface, you're just going to take that and push it down. And I was just pushing it all around the hinges, making sure that nothing came up on those hinges. But I do just rub it all over, and then you always want to have some kind of sealer with a transfer. So of course that chalk paint on the top on this lid was sealed with a clear coat before I put the transfer on, but I am now sealing in that transfer. And then I'm going to use that same citrus wax, which smells so yummy. If this was smell-o-vision, you would love it. But and I did the whole basket. So everywhere, the handles, the bottom, the trim, everything is completely sealed in with that wax. So it's so pretty. The next item is our paper mache deer, and he was looking pretty rough, so I gave him 2 coats with that same color. And I was going to distress back some of that gold, but this color covered so well, and I thought with the transfer pieces that I would just leave it and not do any of that gold through there. So this is a big giant plastic envelope. I cut my transfer pieces up, put them in these plastic envelopes because they have a hole on the top and I can hang them. But this is pieces of this year's Christmas Valley, as well as some pieces from last year. So I will just save all of my holiday pieces in here and anything that I don't use. Now I have actually used a lot of these since this video. We had a market sale this weekend, so a lot of the pieces have sold, including this deer. And but any pieces that I have left, I put back in the envelope, and I will continue to use them. And I sold a old snow shovel with that truck on it. It was so cute. So anyway, I go through and I just pick what I think would look the best. I do actually still have this one. I just haven't found the perfect piece I want to put it on yet. We have a market next weekend, so I will probably go ahead and find something. But what I'm doing is separating them out and looking for items where the color looks good. So even though there's a lot of pieces that are the perfect size, the color doesn't really complement that sage green. So I decided on this poinsettia, and even when I'm going to put them together again, when I've applied them to the project, I do like to cut them up just because it makes it easier to put on a surface that isn't flat. I have several things where I've applied transfers to items that are not just a flat solid piece, and I want you to know that you do not have to just have a piece of wood or a flat window, that you can put transfers on almost anything. Like I said, I put that truck on a snow shovel, and old snow shovels are ribbed, so I mean, it just, I love the challenge. And these transfers, when the lady bought this weekend, she asked me if I had painted this. She also asked if I had made the paper mache deer myself. I wish, and I also wish I could paint these. But thank you, IOD, for making these amazing transfers for people like me that cannot paint. So look, I'm actually taping it down. So I didn't want this to slip. I wanted it to really, it was very important that it stay where it was so that the design would all be cohesive. But because it is not a flat surface, I'm going to have to attach pieces kind of a little bit at a time. So I'm going to use my plastic stick that came with it and just work from the edges in. And so you can see here, I'll just kind of let you watch me attach this. I did add several more transfers. You'll be able to see a little bit better at the end for the reveal when you can see that I put transfers on both sides and up toward the antlers. And I just tried to embellish him all over without too much so that he still looked like a simple deer but with some beautiful color. Alright, so here's the final products. I hope that you like them as much as I do. If you like this kind of content and you like trash to treasures and thrifted finds, then make sure to subscribe and you'll be notified when I upload my next video. Thanks so much for watching.